Hi, friends. We'll turn glitch down. The Self-Co music will be bouncing in the background. You know us. You know who we are by now. If you don't know who we are by now, what are you doing?
You haven't been paying attention.
You haven't been paying attention for 3 weeks. It's Josh and Noah back again to go over our Week 3 power rankings. What a week.
Yeah.
We are hitting the midseason stretch. There's been some free agent switches and some trade proposals thrown out there. Teams are starting to figure it out, and there's some close games this week, and then one not so close game, but we'll get to that in a second. Like the first couple of weeks, Noah and I are just going to kind of run through each of the games, talk about the scores, talk about what happened, and then we will talk about kind of the Week 3 power ranking. Like before, same 6 coaches from Season 1 voted on where everybody's at. We took the average, and that's kind of how we get the big final list of 14. So, right off the bat, our first match that we'll talk about is actually your match, Noah. So the Jamestown Judgment get a 2-0 victory over Quincy and the Bug Catchers. Take us through the game. How'd it go? What'd you think? What are the big takeaways?
It was very, very stressful. I think the one thing that we've learned about Quincy in the past couple of weeks, unsurprisingly, is that he preps very, very well. Brought some pretty standard stuff. I gave a lot more respect to Latios than I probably should have. That I kind of, it was a bit of an oversight. I almost lost to a Blastoise, and I wasn't expecting a Gallade to be as big of a problem as it was. But we kind of just traded blows. I ended up having to sack off Thundurus and Metagross right away, which felt really bad. But eventually Primarina was able to shut down the Blastoise, and then after that we got into a 2v2. I think it was Incineroar Haxorus against I don't even remember what it was, but a Rocky Helmet Togekiss shut down my Chinchino. It was very competitive and very back and forth, and it was a really, really fun game.
Yeah, I think Quincy's strength of schedule is definitely, I think, probably at the top of the of anybody's so far in the league. He's definitely had the hardest schedule so far, and he's 1-2. This is kind of getting into power rankings more so, but I think people have noticed how well he prepares, how well he plays, and he's getting votes towards the top of the list because of that. And having played you and me in Division 1, and then having his third game be a victory, he's no joke. And a 2-0 victory over Quincy is one that you should feel good about, but also Quincy is just keep on trucking. So the next up will be the Machoke Me Daddy getting a 3-0 victory over the Pompous Pikachus. So that's Nate getting the win over Caleb. All I have to say for this one is, Caleb, you had it, man. You had it.
A couple times. Yeah.
A couple of times, yeah. So, I think the type matchups for sure was rough. Trying to use electric-type moves on a Quagsire. Not going to work. The Beware, if it would have gone for a Drain Punch instead of a Double Edge.
Punch,
yeah. A single Drain Punch totally flips that game instead of going for Double Edge, and getting some health back, being able to keep the Beware alive. So just kind of showing some, I think, some weak points in Caleb's game. I think we keep talking about how some of these newer players need to just kind of slow down, use the damage calculator, use a type chart if you have to, pull up the typings of the Pokemon and slow things down during the game. And I think if Caleb does that, he's in a way different position. Nate, I think, played pretty well, all things considered. And I think it's fun to see these two teams go against each other. And still be a competitive game, still be back and forth, and a good win for Nate to kind of jump him into a win actually this week. So
for sure. Chansey's a beast.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we have the Saffron Chuckles getting the upset over our number one team from the first 2 weeks, the Kindred Kingdras. Dylan comes out with a 2-0 win, and I think his best draft league game definitely ever. Yeah, in season 1 or 2. Just really, really well played. Dylan played slow. He played methodical. He understood his win conditions, and I think it should be rewarded. The Cradley was really, really great. And I think the biggest, good job Dylan moment there is, not panicking in those long drawn out 1v1s where Cradley is slowly wearing something down. He stuck with that game plan, stuck with it, and was able to kind of wear down those walls and some of those threats with, the Leech Seed and the Protect and kind of a little bit slower of a play style. And I think, that definitely shows some growth by Dylan's part. And for Peyton's side of things, he played great too. It was a really back and forth game, and sometimes it's a coin flip, and this time Dylan gets the win.
Yeah, he had been talking literally since we played last time, 2 weeks ago now, how he felt really good about it. He felt like he had a really good matchup, and he's been talking about Cradley all the time and how good he thinks it is. And in the right situation, that thing is it's very resilient. Mm-hmm. And I think his prep was very, very good, like you said. And I think he played very, very well, and actually it seems like he's coming into his own a little bit more, which is nice to see. So.
Yeah, definitely. You think of, that's a really good quality win to get back on track after straight memeing in week 2. So good things for there. Next up, the Kalamazoo Raichu against the Evan Swaglins. A 3-0 victory for Garrett and the Kalamazoo. Any thoughts on the Garrett and Colin game?
This one was a bit of a grinder. Colin brought a Curse Lax, which was very, very, very difficult to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I think that had he put Sleep Talk on the Snorlax, I think he ran Brick Break, EQ, Rest, and Curse. Had he put Sleep Talk and maybe just ran Darkness Lariat, I think the Snorlax just goes to town, because having to take the time off to do the sleep turns or whatever just kind of was a little counterproductive to his strategy a little bit. And then Garrett's Heliolisk just straight up 5-0'd and click Thunderbolt at the end. So
yeah,
it was a 3-0, and it was for all intended purposes close, but the game ended in a really landslide fashion, which was really crazy to see.
I think I have two comments about that. Number one, I don't understand why Colin switched out when he had the the plus three Snorlax. I don't know if he just was trying to read something, or maybe gambled and made that switch decision. But it's a long, grindy game, and you kind of get frustrated with kind of the back and forth. But we just got done talking about Dylan being patient and keeping the Cradle in and wearing down walls. I think you keep the Snorlax in, and it just keeps getting harder and harder to kill.
Right.
And then, the Heliolisk, Garrett did a really good job of making sure that at the end of the game, he had something fast that had enough damage to kill everything left. And he had worn down the walls and made sure that, the amount of damage he needed, he had in the end. So, really good game. And like you said, maybe not as close as a 3-0 looks. But definitely a match that we love to watch, and it was two really good teams. So,
for sure.
Then we come to my game for this week. Fargo Flygons getting a big 6-0 over the Laughlin Lurantis. Mm-hmm. I did not bring the rain, did not bring Kingdra, went a totally different direction. And turns out that an offensive Sylveon was the answer to beating DJ's team. Being able to get behind a sub up against some of his mons that couldn't necessarily deal with the Sylveon, straight up, and then being able to hit Calm Mind a couple times and go Pixelate, Hypervice, or Mystical Fire And then just really playing around the ditto was the biggest thing for me, and making sure that if I did have a big setup, because I brought a couple of things that could set up this week, Swords Dance on the Scizor, and a couple other things that were a little more scary than normal. Making sure that if the Ditto was going to come in, that I had an answer to it, or I was behind a sub where he couldn't copy stats or whatever it might be. So I think this is just continuing to show that the quality of draft for DJ's team was not quite that great, and he's kind of playing with one arm tied behind his back. Would love to see him make like a big free agent splash this week and maybe drop 4 Mons and add 4 new ones.
Yeah.
And really kind of change the dynamic and the makeup of his team. And I think that alone could fix it, because we know how good DJ is. He's a season 1 champion. He's got all the experience. I just think he's playing with a meme team right now, and it's showing now. So
yeah. And that's just it. I mean, he's smart enough to figure something out. So we'll have to see what he does.
Definitely. Next up, the Edmonton Ice Qs getting a win 2-0 over the Western Warriors. Sean is continuing to prove that his foot is on the gas.
Right.
Playing against Jack, who's not a slouch and has a scary team. Jack's had a tough schedule for the first part of this season. Playing in a tough division, going up against teams that are have winning records and are doing really well. But Sean, proving again that he's in the driver's seat and moving forward at a really good clip. Any thoughts on the Edmonton and Western game?
Yeah. So I've been getting a little more used to watching Jack play, and I think he's finally starting to feel like a little more comfortable with things. The Scolipede set that he ran was like a sword stance speed boost set, which was really, really cool. And I think he missed a mega horn that in hindsight kind of drastically changed the pace of the game for the most part.
Yep.
He stone edged a Marowak immediately with his right period. He's making smarter decisions with his team building and stuff. And but on the other side of things too, Sean, I think when we played season 1, he started off very, very slow and kind of pushed into his own later into the season, and it looks like he's kind of carried that momentum a little bit, which is really cool to see. And his team is it's very unconventional.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of different ways that it can go. Sil Valley can literally be any type in the game, and it can run X amount of sets or whatever. But it was a pretty close game, and it was really fun to watch. And I think both of them we'll see some good stuff in the future.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the stats for Edmonton. He's got the Silvally, like you said, is a threat. Is 5-2 right now overall. The Dragalge had a good game this week, was able to hit some things. The Dragalge's now 4-0. Selgor, I think, was a really good pickup for him to kind of fill a hole. That's now 2-1.
Right.
The Skarmory is great. The Galarian Zapdos finally has a kill, so there's that. Yeah, it didn't just straight up die on impact. I think Sean is moving in the right direction. Like you said, Jack's playing much better now too. So, and then our final game of the week, the one that just finished up, the Tyrannosaurus Rex getting a 3-0 victory over the Gatos del Diablo. Ruben defeating Harry 3-0. You watched this game live, right?
I did.
Yeah. So what was going through your head when you were watching the game here?
Most of the time when I just watching Ruben, because I've watched 2 out of his 3 games now. It's just funny looking at his team because it looks like it's something straight out of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But I for one think that despite Ruben just drafting things that look like dinosaurs and having 3 or 4 dragon types on his team, that his team is actually stupid, scary good.
Yeah.
The triage of Tyranitar, Dracozolt, and Tyrantrum.
Insane.
Absolutely
insane
and terrifying to deal with. And you can see Tyrantrum head smash is just it kills literally everything.
And he scarfed it this week. And it came to a point in the game where it just like it was in and it was just killing things. Like there's just no way to stopping it. Yeah.
I think Harry's Gyarados picked up 3 kills in this game, and it was like a Moxie sweep away if that Tyrantrum isn't scarfed in that situation too. So I think both of them played like reasonably well, but I'm for one am very nervous to play Ruben when that time comes because I don't know how I'm going to prepare to deal with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a stacked team from top to bottom, and for me personally, when it comes to when I have to play Ruben, like Weather War might be a thing. He's got that Sandstorm Tyranitar, and he's just a lot of things on his team that are threats, and you have to give respect to. The Dracozolt is scary when the sand is up. We haven't even seen Regidrago yet in a game, so there's some things that are on that team that.
Golisopod first impression stuff.
Yeah, too, just create like a banded Golisopod like he had this week. Terrifying. So
yeah, no kidding. So, pretty cool stuff, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into power rankings here, and we'll be a little bit quicker with this. But starting with number 14, unfortunately, the mighty have fallen. DJ, season 1 champion, now in 14th place this week. Like we said, he's playing with kind of like a self-imposed handicap, just with the way he drafted, and I would love to see him switch up his roster a little bit and maybe change some things around because we know how dangerous DJ is. But
for sure,
so far he is 0-3 with the worst differential in the league at -13. So
can only go up from here.
Exactly. Yep. And speaking of up from here, number 13 is the Gato still Diablo and Harry, who's actually in 13th place overall. Harry, I think, still team synergy wise, kind of all over the place, and has had a couple of tougher games. Room to grow. The season's half over, or we're into the halfway point this week with week 4, so there's still an opportunity for him to turn things around. And we know how Harry, how good he can be, given enough time to prepare, and actually, like we keep saying, his schedule is just his class schedule and the academic stuff is his biggest deterrent, just because he's so busy. But
I just want to see him do some trick room stuff with Slowbro and Escavalier just once. That would be, I feel like that would be very good.
Well, and it's made for it because he's got both slow mons, but he's also got on the opposite end of that the super fast stuff like Alakazam.
Right.
So he could do kind of like a trick room with a couple of really fast sweepers after trick room expires. Yeah, definitely. So. In 12th position, tied overall with Harry at 0-3 and -11 is the Western Warriors and Jack. A lateral move for him. He was 12th last week, 12th this week. But I think, like we said, he's playing better. And he's had a tough schedule so far. But, looking to hopefully move up and continue to improve week by week. And I think we're starting to see some good things from Jack.
For sure.
Next up is the Pompous Pikachus. 9th overall in the standings with differential and tiebreak score, but 11th in the power rankings here. What do you think about Caleb at 11?
I think that Caleb has the potential to go in both directions, but I like his chances for improving. He said that he is looking forward to doing just a little more research when he wants to start playing and actually start doing his own team builders and stuff. So I think that if he at least just slows down and hovers his mouse over the opposing Pokemon to see what type it is, that he'll be just fine.
Yep, for sure. In 10th position, the Machoke Mediatis. Nate's now 1-2 at -5. Some good things. Gets a win over Caleb right there, who's at same record overall with a little bit better differential score, but a good win for Nate and kind of starting to turn things around a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do for the rest of the season, because I think like as much as we rag on Nate for how poorly he plays in Nuzlocke and things like that, starting to see some better things out of the draft league.
For sure.
Next up, we have the Saffron Chuckles in ninth place. Dylan getting the win over previous number one, Kindred, going to 1-2 overall and a negative tiebreaker of -3. What do you think about Dylan moving into week 4?
I think that Dylan's spot on the power ranking is like not. it doesn't seem like it should be accurate. You get a win over like widely what is considered the best team in the league, and then you move like from 10th to 9th. Yep. And it seems a little disheartening, but I mean, looking at like the teams above him, it's like you factor in record, strength of schedule, like everything. It's all very, very close.
Yep.
And Dylan's one of those teams that's like it's sitting in 9th, but could be like top 4 if it really wanted to be.
Yeah.
If he just gets like one more win this week and then follows it up. But
yep.
Impressed with like how well he played, and hopefully that's a good indicator for what he does in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, definitely, and he's got a really good opportunity to improve his overall record and his tiebreak score this coming week, being able to play against Colin here. So, speaking of which, moving into the top half, just about. And some of the teams that Dylan's looking to leapfrog, we have in the 8th spot the T-Rex Rex Ruben. One of the teams that's 3-1. He's technically in 5th place overall in the overall standings with a +4 tiebreak score. And I think the thing that's holding Ruben back is his strength of schedule for sure. Mm-hmm. You look at the wins or like who he's played so far, and he's played Jack, Sean, and Harry. So Jack and Harry, 2 of the top or the bottom 3 teams, and then a loss against Sean. That quality wins versus a really close loss. That's kind of I think why we're seeing Ruben in 8 and not higher on the list.
Sure.
Next up is Colin and Evan Swaglins in 6th place in the overall standings record-wise and tiebreak score, 2-1 with a +3 differential. Thoughts on how Colin's playing right now and what to look for?
I think Colin like just genuinely understands the game and how to play it. He's kind of got the same thing going for him that Dylan does. I think that 7th could very easily be like the lowest we see him.
Yeah.
For the rest of the season. He's got a really like solid team. Like Belly Drum Slurpuff is actually crazy good.
Yep.
And like the Snorlax, obviously we saw that too. That's really good too. And normal type, only like 1 weakness, and he's got like a lot of other stuff that's pretty strong too. And that coupled with just like his knowledge and everything else, I feel like he's definitely not going to fall, if at all, from here. Yeah. And I would be looking out for him in Division 2 if I were them.
Definitely, yeah. And like his one loss is to Garrett, who's one of the best teams in the league. Like, don't get ragged on him for having one loss and not being undefeated right now. I mean, he got 3-0'd by Kalamazoo. Like, that's okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Moving into the top 6 now, the Edmonton Ice Cubes. Sean, big moving. Keeps moving up the ladders. He's also 2-1, has a +2 differential. Sean's on a rocket ship to the top right now, and if he keeps playing the way he has, he could be in the top 4 next week.
Yeah, I totally agree. He plays Garrett this week in a little interconference battle between the Canadians, which is going to be really fun to watch. But that'll be, I think, a big determinant of how things shake up when we're at this point next week.
Yeah, I totally agree, and we could see, like I said, if he gets a win over one of the best teams, that definitely helps your quality points. It probably helps
Yeah.
your overall. You go to 3-1 potentially. It could do big things for him, and I love seeing Sean, continuing to succeed. And now he's doing videos, so we get to see it
Yeah,
even more. So
for sure.
love that.
Hmm.
Into the top five now, we've got Quincy and the Bug Catchers. This is, I think, the biggest. I think one of the coolest things for this week is seeing Quincy, who's in eighth place at 1-2, and a zero tiebreak score. So even across the board there, he's actually in fifth place overall. And I think
Yeah.
when we talked about the game against you, how well he's prepping, how well he's playing, the how hard his schedule has been to open up for the first 3 weeks playing you and me, who are both in the top four. Really, really awesome stuff from Quincy, and like his record is definitely, it could very well easily be 3-0. And like the power rankings in fifth place show that for sure.
Yeah, I had said at the beginning of the season, I was kind of like joking at the time, but I had said, I think that my dark horse for the season is going to be Quincy, honestly. And while it was maybe in like a joking sense when I said it the first time, it could not have proven to be more true now. And like you said, he's 1-2, but he's sitting fifth in the power rankings. I think that like he could easily win out from here, and he's not somebody I really am keen on running into again come playoff time if that's the case. But
Yeah.
I think he's incredibly smart, preps really well, plays really well. Like I was really impressed with him, and we had a good chat in Discord after our game about it. So excited to see what happens with him from here.
Definitely. He is one of the leaders in the wild card standings. Him and Sean are the top two teams in the wild card, so holding on to a playoff spot so far. And probably gonna just cruise to a finish, maybe even in the top three in our division. Anything can happen, and there's still 4 games left in the season. So
Definitely.
moving into the top four, we have our first big move this week, or the team that has fallen. The Kindred Kingdras get their first loss of the year. Peyton is now 2-1 at +4, and drops from number 1 to number 4, and just a tough break for the Kindred Kingdras, getting upset by Dylan and the Saffron Chuckles. I think Peyton's playing fine. I think Pokemon is so hard to say one way or the other that it's a for sure thing, and my team's better than yours. Anything can happen. Dylan played really, really well. Peyton played well too. It's just when you lose and you're in first place, you're going to drop, and he falls to number 4.
Yeah, I think and we've been hyping him up for the first 3 weeks too. So maybe there's a certain amount of pressure that he was feeling, and maybe this loss was more of a like, okay, now I can like relax a little bit. I don't have as like big of a target on my back kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I expect him to be consistent and to do well.
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree. Moving up into our top 3, the last of the undefeated teams. At number 3 is the Jamestown Judgment. What do you think about you being at number 3?
I think that this is like pretty reasonable, I would say, if you just like factor in like record and stuff. I didn't really know where to place myself. I said, it could be like anywhere from like the 3 to 5-ish rank, I guess you could say. I played Sean week 1, and then Dylan, and now Quincy here, and all the games have been like really, really fun and competitive. And this last week, I was definitely tested, and I'm gonna start putting in a little more effort to like paying more attention to detail. I think is my issue. I think I tunnel too far into things sometimes, but I think that I've been doing well, and I think I played Jack this week, so that'll be a fun game too, and hopefully maybe we can sling myself into the top 1 or 2 spots next week.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, I actually have you in my personal rankings. I put you at number 2 because I think you've had a really tough schedule so far. I mean, the 3 teams that you've placed, faced are all I think they're all teams with winning records.
Yeah. Dylan's 1-2.
Sure. Yep. But
Just
like,
beat the number one team.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, not a slouch at all. So, I think that you're cruising right now and doing really good things. And I'm excited for when you and I eventually get to play each other, because we are in the same division. And one of us, there's only going to be one undefeated team after that. We might not even be undefeated when that comes around. We've still got a week in between, I think, because we play week 5, right?
Not this week, but next week. I was just gonna say too, it's like so tough to like place yourself, and you just like have to take into account like record and stuff. It's like I'm sitting at 3 right now, but it's like the top 8, 9 teams could be shuffled up anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be really crazy.
Super competitive. Yep. And just for reference, everybody, Noah is 3-0 at +8, in third place overall in the standings. Number 2 on the list is me and the Fargo Flygons. We are actually in first place overall, which is crazy. We're 3-0 at +12 for differential, and we're at +2 in the power rankings. I'm really humbled and excited about how well things are going so far. I play Harry this coming week, and I'm really excited about that matchup. The games against Harry are always competitive, always fun. And I think I have got a pretty good team set in place for him. And I'm excited to hopefully keep the train rolling. I think the biggest thing for me this season is just a different, like a change in mindset. I'm protecting win conditions a lot better, and I'm being more aggressive, and I think that's lending itself to better gameplay overall and better results. So,
right. Hopefully you and Harry don't run into another 147 turn game again this next week.
Well, I don't have double regenerator this season, so
yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying too. And it's like you get a 6-0 over DJ, who is obviously no slouch. Which is like, it's pretty convincing. It's like you play to your strengths really well. So it'll be fun in a week when you and I get to play each other. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And that leaves, if anybody's doing the math here, the unanimous number 1 getting all first place votes this week. The Kalamazoo Raichu and Garrett moving into that first place spot. Second overall in the overall standings at 3-0 +11, so just 1 tiebreak point behind me. We've both had 6-0 wins this year. And Garrett, I think, is just he's playing on another level. I love seeing how well he's playing this year, how creative he's still being. His team is just kind of bananas all over the place sometimes, but I think he's using his strengths and thinking out of the box, even with more conventional threats on his team. Or I don't even know how to really sum it up. He's just playing well and not making mistakes and beating good teams.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. His YouTube videos are pretty dang funny too. That's always really fun. It's fun to see people like taking the YouTube thing and kind of running with it. It's always really fun to like watch other people's videos for the week and see perspectives and see a little bit of like creativity with your games and stuff. But yeah, no, Garrett always towards the top last season too. So I'm not really surprised to see him at the top at the moment. It's more funny to me because I don't know if it's just me, and don't come after me, Garrett, but when we were drafting teams, I was like, Garrett's team looks just bad.
Yeah.
I like, it does not look good.
Yep. But
he's proven me wrong for sure. That, I mean, it's like you get set up mons in like Heliolisk, Executor, Volcarona, like all of that stuff. Like, he just plays very cleanly and outside of the box, so he's really hard to prep for. So everything kind of just came together for him. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody can knock him out. Yeah, definitely. I think he'll have one of his toughest tests this week as we get that inter-Canadian conference battle and against Sean. So looking forward to seeing that. Real quickly, I'm just going to run down kind of the playoff picture so far as we come into the middle of the season. In Division 1, I'm at the top
followed by Noah and Ruben. Noah and I are 3-0. Ruben is 2-1. Tiebreak scores myself at 12, Noah at 8, Ruben at 4. So those are the 3 teams right now in Division 1 that are in the playoff hunt. Closely followed by Sean, Quincy, Jack, then Harry. In Division 2, Garrett Kalamazoo, the only undefeated team in D2, at plus 11. He's in first place. Peyton falls to number 2 at 2-1 plus 4. And then Colin is right on his heels, 2-1 plus 3. The bottom half of that division, Caleb, Dylan, then Nate, then DJ. The wild card race right now, Sean is in first place at 2-1 and a tiebreak score of 2. Quincy's in second place at 1-2, tiebreak score of 0 or even. Caleb and Dylan, both at 1-2, are in the third and fourth, the last 2 qualifying spots there so far. Caleb's tiebreak score is -1 and Dylan's is -3. So, and then on the bottom half, fighting to move into qualifying position, Nate, Jack, Harry, then DJ. So, and that's really, really close. Nate's only -5, so he's only 2 points behind in that playoff race. He's in 5th place, and then 6th and 7th are tied at -11, and then DJ is bringing up the rear at -13. So, there's still a lot of games left to be played. Like you said, we're in week 4 coming up. That's the halfway point for the season. Still a lot that can happen. Still a lot of really important games to be played. And like Noah mentioned, this kind of top 8, top 9, you could shuffle any which way, and we'd be like, yeah, that seems right. And even the guys that are in 10 through 14, they're being competitive. They're getting better. And they're improving, and I hope having fun regardless of record or score. And we're just really glad everybody's playing and getting their games in and taking it seriously. So
for sure. Yeah, no, I've just like a little off the rip thing. I like the whole purpose of this is just for us to like have a good time and play some games together.
Yeah.
And it was like we kind of just like pitched the idea for season 1 with just like 7 or 8 of us, and we're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And now it's like we almost doubled it, and it's like we have a whole like Discord dedicated to it. People are making like content on it. Like it's kind of like grown to be like an actual thing.
Yeah.
Which is really really cool to see. And I hope everyone's enjoying themselves, and hopefully everyone makes the turnaround for when we start season 3 in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, I this has turned into like one of the highlights of my week, like being able to do videos and have my game and look forward to it every week and do the power rankings and stuff. And more people doing videos, making sure that they're posting the right stuff. And I think it's just been super fun, and I'm really appreciative of everybody that's doing it. So with that, we're going to close things out. Any closing thoughts for coming up? Which game are you looking forward to watching the most in week 4?
I got to check this out, actually. I think... obviously, you have to look at the Canadians in their game. That's always going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
One maybe like sleeper game that I'm kind of looking forward to is DJ against Caleb.
Oh yeah.
I think that DJ's experience coupled with Caleb's, just like I think Caleb's got a really really cool team.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep.
I think that could be pretty cool to watch. Just like general thoughts too. Kind of crazy that we're already like almost half done with the regular season. It feels like we just kind of started.
Yeah.
But playoff picture is going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out. So looking forward to the games, and good luck everybody. Have fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to obviously the Garrett versus Sean game, but I think a really important game and one that I'm actually maybe even looking to more so. Ruben plays Quincy this week. So I think that, especially for like just Division 1 itself is really important. And I think that could be like one of the most fun games to watch this week too. So like Noah said, good luck with your games this week. Looking forward to watching, and remember to have fun, and I don't know how to end a power rankings video.
And Go Flygon.
Yeah, go
Go
Flygons.
Judgment. Go Raichu. Go APDL. Cool banner.